Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to Podcastage Deuce. Today we are taking a look at a brand new piece of software from Rode. This is called Rode Connect, and what this allows you to do is connect multiple NT USB minis, up to 4 of them, and essentially create a very simplified digital version of a Rodecaster Pro. I don't know if I need to disclose this because I'm not reviewing the NT USB Mini, but full disclosure, Rode did send me the NT USB Mini a while ago so I could review it. I'm using that for this video, and the software is free, so I'm not getting anything for that. When you first open up the software, you will be greeted by this page that shows you 4 slots to select your 4 microphones. Beneath that, it will identify all of your NT USB Minis that are attached. I have 2 of them connected right now. And in order to identify them, you can click on any of the microphones and it will make the lights on the front flash so you know which microphone you're selecting and you could place it appropriately on whichever channel you want. Then you'll hit next and you have system audio, which will capture your system-wide audio, or virtual, which will capture a specific piece of software that you allocate that for. Let's go ahead and drag these up to channel 1 and channel 2, and we will hit. This is what I would classify as the mixer page, and this is where you'll be spending the majority of your time. But in the upper left-hand corner of the app, you are able to select another page. And this is your recordings page, which will show you all of the recordings you've made within the Rode Connect app. But most importantly, you're able to share these files. If you click the share button, it allows you to name them. You can choose a color for that recording. If you have multiple shows, you can select the platform that you're uploading it to: Anchor, Spotify, Whooshka, iTunes, Himalaya, SoundCloud, Buzzsprout, Blueberry, Libsyn. You can also select the format, WAV or MP3. If you're publishing it, probably going to be MP3. Select the sample rate, 48 or 44.1 kilohertz. On MP3, you can select the bit depth from 128 up to 320 kilobits per second. Most podcasts will ultimately be in 128. And coolest is you are able to select the level that you export as. You can go negative 12 LUFS, which is extremely loud, all the way down to negative 25 LUFS. If you are doing a podcast, I typically recommend around negative 16 LUFS. And if you don't know what LUFS are, that is loudness units full scale. That is the recordings tab. Then back on the mixer page, you have a large record button. You hit that, starts recording, gives you a timer and elapsed time of the recording. You're able to hit a flag button to add a marker on the recording in case you want to make notes for an edit. Then you have the master level mix meter here. Why was that so hard to come up with? This will show you the output level of your recording. And the last thing that you have at the top of the screen are your settings, but I do have to stop recording first. Let me hit this now. First option you have is Setup Assistant. This will walk you through that entire initial setup process again, selecting your microphone, selecting your system and virtual, and then selecting Finish. Beneath that, you have your preferences options, and here you are able to select a monitor output. If you want to run the mix output to a separate device, here I have it running to the universal audio. You're able to, in that mix, include or exclude the microphones if you don't want to hear them. You're also able to select if you want stereo or multi-channel recording. You're able to adjust the latency from low to ultra low. And I do want to note that when I have tried to decrease my buffer size in a full-sized DAW, I do sometimes run into random pops and clicks. So I would personally stick with a low latency and not try to go for ultra low unless you absolutely need to. Appearance, you can change that. You can change the scaling to make the entire app twice as large in case you want to see it a little bit better. And you're able to change the language. But then we get to the fun stuff. Let's go ahead and click on 1. When I click on this, you can see that we have the meter for the microphone. This is what you will use to set the gain. You want to be in this little area that is green. I have my level set to 20. I am a loud talker. I'm hitting that. I may be a little bit too hot, but I'm okay with that. This is where it gets cool, though. They give you a little bit of processing, a noise gate, a compressor, the Aphex oral exciter, and the Aphex big bottom. To test out the noise gate, I have my patented, super scientific, royalty-free City Street ambience playing in the background through my studio monitors. Should be able to hear that. Why is your car so loud? Let me engage the noise gate to see how it handles this. Then when I start talking again, you should hear the noise in the background while I'm talking. This is not some kind of spectral denoise. The background noise is still going to be there, but when you be quiet, the noise gate will close and the background noise will be shut off. There's a very quick sample and demonstration of the noise gate. Next thing I want to do is demonstrate the compressor setting. Currently, I'm a couple inches off of the microphone. I decreased my level to 18, and I do not have the compressor, noise gate, exciter, or big bottom on. Now, let me go ahead and engage the compressor. The first thing that I hear is the low end get a little bit more robust, a little bit rounder sounding. But more importantly, and the entire reason for a compressor, I hear the overall level of the recording become a little bit more consistent. So the quieter parts, when I let my voice become a little bit quieter, are brought up a bit. And the louder parts, when I speak a little bit louder, seem to be brought down a little bit. So the compressor is functioning. I don't necessarily think it is the greatest sounding compressor I've ever heard, but I think it works perfectly fine, especially being free. Next, we have the Aphex oral exciter and the Aphex big bottom. Let me go ahead and engage the oral exciter. In the past, I have found that the Rode presets are a bit too aggressive, and I think they brighten the recording up a bit too much. I have engaged the oral exciter. I can't tell you directly through monitoring if it is too aggressive. It does brighten it up quite a bit, but if you have a beefier voice, why do I use the word beefy? If you have an extremely low voice and you need a little bit more clarity, that will provide that for you. Let me turn that off. This is the microphone without the oral exciter. And conversely, if you have a higher pitched voice like mine and you don't think that you're beefy enough, I'm not going to change now. I'm not going to change the term beefy. You can turn on the big bottom, and that just gives you a little bit more of that low end, that low mids, that warmth, that beef, that weight, really cool sounding. And we have the big bottom on. Let's go ahead and turn on the big bottom and the oral exciter. There you go, big bottom and oral exciter, probably giving you more of a V-shaped sound, more lows, more highs. Doesn't sound like it's doing anything in the mids. Once again, without any of the Aphex processing turned on. Here is with the Aphex oral exciter. Here is without the Aphex oral exciter. Here is with the Aphex big bottom. Really beefy, beefens it up. Here is without any Aphex processing again. And finally, Aphex oral exciter and Aphex big bottom if you want that beefiness. Beefiness, well, you got a beefy voice and you need more clarity with the oral exciter. There you go. That's a quick test of the processing that it can do. For the rest of this, I am going to leave the noise gate, the exciter, and the big bottom engaged on my microphone, just so you can get a feel for how I would probably use it. Most likely, I wouldn't be using the compressor because I like fine-tuning it, or I like using an LA2A because I'm a compressor snob, I guess. Let me go ahead and show you. If you do have another microphone, hey, now I have two microphones. And if you are multi-tracking, you should be able to mix between these. If you just want to do the live mix, you can mute one microphone and then increase the volume on the other. And that is how simple it is. And this is all going out to the stream mix, so you shouldn't have any problems there. You can mute the microphone when somebody isn't speaking. You can engage the noise gate, all of that stuff. I just thought something that would be neat would be having the ability to set a primary channel and then all the other channels are ducked. based on that channel's engagement, based on that channel's levels. That may be a little bit advanced for this because this is a free piece of software, but just a thought I'm thinking out loud. Next, you have the system fader, and that allows you to control the system-wide audio that is being played to your stream or your recording or your multi-track, whatever you're doing. The way you set that up is you open up your system-wide audio preferences. I've got that right here, and then you select the output to be Rode Connect system. It's as simple as that. Then whenever you play something at the system level, it will run through this mixer. To demonstrate that, I pulled up a song in iTunes that I wrote and mixed for my buddy's stream, and I'm going to play that, and you can hear the song, and you will see me mixing it, adjusting the level. And you can mute it by clicking the speaker icon. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And lastly, you have the virtual fader, which allows you to capture a single piece of software's audio. A lot of the examples they have is Discord. In Discord, you would go to your audio settings, and for the audio input, you would select Rode Connect Virtual, and for your audio output, you would select Rode Connect Virtual, and it creates an automatic mix minus for the Discord call. I'm not going to demonstrate that because I have rules against recording my Discord's voice chat, but once you have set that up, you will be able to adjust the level the same way that we adjusted the system level, and you will also be able to mute or unmute that channel as well. The last thing I want to demonstrate is how to route your Rode Connect output to a stream. It is extremely straightforward. In OBS, all you'll do is select your audio input source. You will change the properties, and then when you're selecting it, you will select the device to be Rode Connect Stream. Now, your entire mix is being sent to your stream software. You don't have to have any additional software doing anything anywhere. Pretty straightforward, pretty neat. One last thing that I want to test out is if we close the Rode Connect app, do the plugins or do the effects continue to function if we're using the Rode NT USB Mini somewhere else? Currently in Audio Hijack, I am capturing the Rode NT USB Mini. I do not have the Rode Connect Stream selected. This is the individual microphone, and it does appear to be capturing the effects that we add. As we turn on the noise gate and the compressor, you can tell we can get louder volumes. When I turn on the compressor, really caps it out. So it is capturing the effects. Let me go ahead and quit Rode Connect and see what happens in Audio Hijack. Talking. I quit Rode Connect. Hello, hey. Well, that answers that question. If you want to use the effects on your Rode NT USB Mini, you need to ensure that the Rode Connect app is open the entire time that you want to use it. There you go. Hopefully that answered your question. The last thing that I will mention about this piece of software, it does currently only work with the NT USB Minis. I don't believe it works with the NT USB. I don't think you can use the Rode AI1. Anything else, currently it is only functioning with the NT USB Mini. I have no idea about plans for them to expand this to other audio interfaces, other USB mics. That's all I know at this time. Okay, I think that is pretty much all of the tests that I could run on the Rode Connect software, or at least that I could think of. If there's anything that you want to know, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll try to make a follow-up video. But what are my overall thoughts of this update, of this software release, of this addition to the NT USB Mini? I think the fact that Rode put out a piece of software, an addition, an update to a microphone that's been out a year and a half, purely as a value add at no additional cost is insane. I think the majority of other companies would probably say, we see what the Elgato Wave 3 did. We'll tackle that next generation, and we'll use that as the big selling point. Buy the NT USB Mini 2, and you can get all of these additional features that compete with the Elgato Wave 3. Rode didn't do that. They just said, here's a free piece of software that does pretty much all the same stuff. You bought it already. It's $70 cheaper. Go get them, Tiger. Go get them. That's tight. So I do have to give them a big round of applause for continuing to support their products, listen to their customer base, and provide them the best experience as they can. But with that being said, it is not all roses and daisies and happy dances, and there's plenty of issues that I have. The first one being, with my level set under 20, I started to hear a gradual growing white noise, and it would get extremely loud until I put my level above 20, and then it would pop, the white noise would disappear, everything would be clean. Secondly is the compressor. Let me go ahead and engage this, and you can tell, maybe it's not doing it right now, but to my ears, it sounds as though it is almost clipping, almost distorting, overdriving the audio. I think the compressor is not the best. I think it is a bit too aggressive if you do close miking, even at this distance. I don't necessarily think the compressor is the best sounding. So I guess right now would be the best time to offer my suggestions. Like I complained about with the original Rodecaster Pro release, I would love to see some more granular controls with the effects in the plugin software, the noise gate, the compressor, and the exciter and big bottom. I understand it's free, probably not going to be a priority. The fact that we have it is good enough, but me being nitpicky, I would love to be able to control that a little bit more. At least give us a percentage of the exciter and big bottom that we're using as opposed to on off, and maybe a percentage with a compressor and with a noise gate. The thing that I always look for is the reduction amount. With a noise gate, I don't want it to shut off completely because I think that sounds too unnatural. So usually I will use a noise gate and attenuate by -10 dB. So having some control, maybe simple controls, but some control as opposed to on-off would be amazing. Another feature that I would love to see here would be a variable high-pass filter as opposed to a high-pass on-off, because I think the majority of streamers and podcasters completely omit and ignore the requirement. And I say requirement because I think some form of a high-pass filter ought to be a requirement, but maybe a 50 hertz, 70 hertz, somewhere in there, or just a dial saying, where do you want the high pass? 20 hertz up to 150 hertz, somewhere in there, and you can select where you want that. And the last thing, as I mentioned in the video, I suggested maybe adding a ducking feature for a primary sound source. Everything else gets ducked. I imagine that could be useful for some folks. Probably put that last on your suggested updates. I don't think that's necessary immediately. I think the high pass filter and the control of the plugins would be first. But before any of that, the gain issue and the compressor, because I think the compressor is a bit funky. And I think that's it for this podcastage deuce video. This is a pretty long one. I don't think it is going to beat out my Townsend Labs Sphere L22 video where I demo 30 microphone models. That was a blast to make. I really enjoy making these videos on Podcastage too, where I'm more conversational and just hanging out. I hope this was helpful. I put timestamps of everything, and I know I didn't need to do all of the walkthroughs because they have walkthroughs, but I have found by including that, it forces me to get to know the software a little bit better. It forces me to find these little nooks and crannies. If I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't know that you can... Did I mention the amazingness that it has a loudness export feature? You can export to a specific LUFS level. That's amazing. I probably wouldn't know that if I didn't do all the tutorial walkthrough stuff going through every single menu. Hopefully that was useful.